6 feet tall should knock you to your knees when you look at all these rumors surrounding me every day. I just need some time to get away from all these rumors. Can't take it no more. My best friend said there's one out now about me and the girl next door. I can't go no place without somebody pointing a finger. I can't show my face cause when it comes to rumors, I'm a dead ringer. It seems from rumors, I just can't get away. I bet there'll even be rumors floating around on Judgment Day. I think I'll write my congressman and tell him to pass a bill, so the next time they catch somebody starting rumors, shoot to kill. When you look at all these rumors surrounding me every day, I just need some time to get away from all these rumors. Can't take it.
All right, guys, that's our intro for today, because it's all about rumors. It's all about gossip. It's all about fake news. It's all about scaring people. It's all about Chicken Little. It's all about somebody saying something without any evidence or proof, people spreading this information as though it were proven, not demonstrating it, not being experts on the topic, and yet still continuing to fuel the flood of gossip. There is a difference between news and gossip. And the reason I'm making the video is if I go over here to YouTube and I take a look at Windows Update Breaking SSDs, let's just start over here. Let's go right here. Hold on, I want to make sure I get the audio disabled on that. Let me just bring this up. There we go. We get a bunch of videos from a number of creators that you might well respect. And these creators have all basically jumped on a bandwagon, and they have no way to know where this bandwagon is going. Hey, we heard this bandwagon is going to England. Well, I don't know how you're going to get a bandwagon over the ocean. That doesn't even make any sense. So without verifying any information and without proving it, they're all warning their audience, and I feel very, very irresponsibly, about a problem that likely doesn't even exist, and they cannot prove it, and yet the internet is eating this up as if it were true. Now look, I don't mind I don't mind if it's true. If it's true, you should be able to show it to me. So what they're doing is, oh, wait a minute, somebody, it's not just me, somebody else is calling this out. The bottom line is that anybody who wants to report gossip should say that this is gossip. They should not mislead their audience into believing what they're telling you is true. Otherwise, respected, in my opinion, content creators are doing something that I find to be despicable, disgusting, and absolutely should be warning their audience that what they're about to discuss is rumor and has not been proven, and nor can any of these content creators make it happen on camera. All right, so I don't know how you feel about that, but it really bothers me how many of these crisis content creators are jumping on a bandwagon with something they don't even fully understand and cannot demonstrate. Now, I'd be happy to be proven wrong if somebody would just demonstrate it to me. I would love to see it. So I've asked our good friend Scott Merrill, Ask Your Computer Guy, if he would be interested in entertaining this idea I have, which is I will purchase any one of these supposedly affected solid-state drives, and I'll send it to him if he's willing to do the testing. But here's what you need to know. None of this information is confirmed, and it is more likely than not than the person who posted this on Twitter last Friday has a beef against Phison, and they want to, one of two things is happening. They're pulling a fire alarm because they think it's hilarious to swat people. If you believe the information these content creators are posting, if you believe the information this person in Japan just out of randomness posted, you're being swatted. That is the equivalent of damaging a company's reputation that could put a company out of business. It is the likelihood that you will uninstall this update because you trusted the content creator who advised you to do so out of caution. If you have that mentality, don't get out of bed. Because the minute you get out of bed, you could hurt yourself. Most injuries happen outside of the bed. So if you're going through life afraid of your own shadow, never leave your bed. Also, what's the point of living? Living comes with a certain part there's a certain part of risk that involves everyday living, and through that we learn and we get educated. But when people are providing gossip disguised as news, it's not a big step to just go, hey, we don't know if this is true or not. Right there, right in the beginning, also put it in the middle, also put it at the end. Say it 3 times so the audience that's there in the beginning, the audience that's there in the middle, and the audio that skips to the end will hear that this is not verified. And it cannot be verified. And they themselves, the people making the content, cannot verify it. So why should you respond to it as if it were real? It's Boogeyman, it's Bigfoot, it's Sasquatch, it's the Loch Ness Monster. Are we old enough that we're still falling for this? So here's how this whole thing started. Here's what's really interesting. If I go over to Copilot, all right, and if I do just a modicum, and I mean the most minimal research on this, like it wouldn't be possible for me to do anything requiring any less effort in regards to due diligence before I make content warning my users of ghosts that don't exist, or they might exist. We don't know. It's in the rumor. Hence the video at the beginning here. It's rumors, it's gossip, it's not factual, or at least not proven, and nobody can prove it. Nobody can prove this. So what it appears is a modern day manipulation from an individual, and the information's so sparse as to leave it wide open to your imagination. And why is everybody jumping at it like it's real? It is the strangest phenomenon, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Phison and Microsoft are going to come forward and say, we have no way to replicate this. But they have to respond to it, just like the police have to respond to a swatting call even when it's not real. They have to go and check it out. So the companies have to pour resources into this, and they have to be thorough, and it's going to take 30 days at least to come to a conclusion. That conclusion is likely there's nothing here. Okay, so for the next 30 days, until that officially comes out, all these content creators are seeing clicks, and they're going, oh, I better jump on this bandwagon. Everybody else is talking about it. None of these content creators have ever seen this problem in real life. Most of them are enthusiasts, and even those of us working in the industry, we have never seen this. None of our customers, we've been in this business a long time. I've installed SSDs back in 2013 that are still in use today. No customers are calling, nobody's emailing, it doesn't exist. If it exists, the only way that we're going to find out about it is through Microsoft verifying it or denying it. But if it doesn't affect you either way, why get on board that bandwagon? It's not for you. It has nothing to do with you. Why would you react to something that isn't real? So I'm asking you to stop and think about the content you're seeing online and where it's coming from, and has anybody given you a demonstration? I want to see a demonstration, because if we can actually see it in real life, we can actually then go back and identify what's happening. Is the drive being broken? Some sources say they restarted their computer and everything was fine. Other sources say they weren't able to get the data back, but does that mean the drive itself has failed, or that the data became corrupted on the drive? Is that something $300 data recovery could recover? Once we identify where's the failure, if a failure even exists, then we can go backwards and figure out where that occurred. Look, drives fail every day. Drives get corrupted every day. This is a normal part of being in this business. But if a mechanic works on your car, the next thing that fails on your car, people are more than likely going to blame the mechanic. So the mechanic put new tires on your car, but now it's not starting right. Even though the tires are on the outside of the car and the engine's inside of the car, and the mechanic never went inside of the car, never underestimate the complete associative human mind that's uneducated to come to a false conclusion and accusation without verification or third-party opinion. They just immediately go, that guy changed my tires and now my car won't start, and they better fix it. The reason I bring this up is Windows updates come out every 30 days, and sometimes there's out-of-band updates even more so. So anytime a computer happens within 30 days of an update, it's always the update's fault. Whatever that recent update was just before the problem, they immediately, without any evidence, without any verification, and without any proof, come to a false conclusion, and they'll go on Reddit and they'll post about it. So if you go on Reddit and you post about this update, there are people saying it happened to them. Are they lying? Who are these people? If I would say to you, be more of a critical thinker. Type in any Windows update ever released by Microsoft, and then look for people complaining on Reddit that it caused a problem. Good luck finding one where somebody doesn't conclude that that Windows update caused them a problem, but that, for whatever reason, didn't gain social traction the way that this one did. It's just like a roll of the dice. I don't know why this happens, but these rumors come out hundreds of times a day, and for some reason, this single one, has suddenly enraptured everybody as though it were real, when it's not real. It's highly likely this is all a gag and you're all being played. So, do you want to be the butt of the joke? Maybe don't react until you verify. Now, here's the other thing. Has it affected you or anybody you know? Personally, in your real life? And how does that make you feel if you trust a content creator and that trusted content creator is now, in my opinion, I don't know, I feel like they're violating your trust. That they'll just tell you anything now and you're going to believe it. Which now makes me wonder, can I trust anything from that content creator ever again? If this is their mentality, how long has it been that way? Is this the first time? Or is this the first time I'm aware they're doing it? And how you respond to that, I'm not telling you how. Just keep it in mind, something to think about. Here's another challenge for you. I want you to type in the name of any Windows update that anybody on the internet or Reddit said was good and recommended people get it. Find me a Reddit forum or a post where somebody says, this is a great update and everybody should have it. You see what I'm getting at? Do they exist? All updates are bad and all updates cause problems. No update is ever recommended. No update ever improved anybody's anything, because that's the internet. And yet these stories are so big on the internet, and yet they don't exist in real media. When you look at NBC or CNN or BBC, anywhere you get your news, CBC, wherever it is around the world, no news organization is carrying this story because there's no verifiable due diligence that can verify this is anything more than gossip. So should you be reacting to gossip? Should you uninstall an update you never had a problem with? Well, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you the vast majority of questions and issues that I am called with in 2025 is people messing around with their computers, trying to undo things that shouldn't have been undone, and now they have consequences. You use third-party utilities. Some trusted content creator says, here's a third-party utility that can improve your Windows 11 experience. But now a Windows update comes out that breaks that third-party utility, or that third-party utility breaks that update, because they don't know what Microsoft is going to do next. But every 30 days, these updates come out. And every 30 days, if any of their optimization utility or tune-up utility is doing anything like creating registry keys that didn't exist, you, not me, because I don't do that, you're going to have a problem. Is it going to be next month? Is it going to be 6 months? Is it going to be 2 years? I don't know. But you'll likely blame Microsoft for it, and it's the content creator's fault. So for that content creator to release that utility, it is their job then to keep updating that utility every single time a Windows update comes out that potentially breaks everybody's computer or causes it a problem because they voluntarily decided to try to override the engineers and all of the management that makes all of these decisions for the good of the experience of the operating system. Microsoft doesn't want people upset at them. Microsoft wants good, happy customers. But Microsoft can't control the manipulations you do to your computer that are completely unnecessary, that may have temporary improvements and benefits, but over the long term will likely cause a problem. And when they do, you'll never know why. You will never associate those two things. What you'll do is you'll say the Windows update broke my Windows, but you're the one who broke your Windows 12 months earlier when you used a third-party utility, likely discovered by a content creator who is not a technician, who has never worked in this field, and yet they think they can go up against Microsoft. And every single time Microsoft updates Windows, they don't know what those updates are going to do because they don't work for Microsoft and they don't work in the industry, and their utility may not have been intended to cause you harm, but give it time. The only utilities that are safe to use, if you want to be absolutely certain, is to make sure that they are not making any changes that you couldn't make through Windows yourself. So in other words, if there are automations that people do to turn certain features on and off, that's fine. You're not going to have any problems with those. They're just automating a process that you could use your mouse for. But if you're creating registry keys that weren't there, what you don't understand is those keys weren't there for a reason. And just because you don't know the reason doesn't mean no reason exists. And you're going to find out the hard way. In fact, you never will find out. You never will. You're just eventually going to likely have a problem where that registry key prevents an update from executing properly. And then you're going to have really, really bad side effects to your Windows not operating. And you're going to blame Microsoft for that. You should be blaming the content creator, and you should be blaming yourself. Because in most cases, in my experience, the end user is causing their own problems. And the reason they're justifying it is they're saying, I'm trying to prevent a problem. I'll give you an example. I'm going to take this Windows update off because I saw a bunch of content creators saying it's bad and it could cause a problem. So if I remove it, I won't have that problem. Okay, there's a bunch of people getting a vaccine against the flu, but some people after getting the vaccine are getting sick and they're making videos. The people who aren't getting sick aren't the ones making the videos. Only the people getting sick, and they're saying, hey, the flu vaccine made me sick. What? What evidence do they have of that? So you got sick. Doesn't mean you got sick because of the vaccine. That's pretty much impossible unless there's an allergic reaction. Do you have an allergic reaction to it too? If so, that may apply to you. If not, probably doesn't apply to 99% of people. But other people see that and they think, oh, if I get the flu vaccine, I'm going to get sick. I don't want to get sick, so I'm not going to get the flu vaccine. And instead, because they didn't get the vaccine, they get the flu. It makes them more sick than they would have been if they would have just gotten the vaccine. It's so stupid. Like the world has stopped any sort of critical thinking. Maybe they were never trained, or maybe they're just reacting to shadows and they just follow the herd. Just because people keep repeating the same words doesn't make it true. I keep checking my bank account and I keep telling people to say Carey's a millionaire. I want everybody to say Carey's a millionaire. And I will let you know when that $1 million appears in my checking account. I just don't think enough people have said it yet. At what point do you hear the absurdity? And how is it any different? And why do you voluntarily choose to believe and be led by the nose to such gossip? You enjoy gossip? That's fine. Enjoy your gossip. You enjoy rumors? Go enjoy your rumors. But know the difference. And don't be so serious about it. Understand that the information is conjecture. And nobody, and I mean nobody, has proven this. I would suggest to everybody watching this video, you go on to any content creator who's warning you about this, and you ask them to demonstrate it on video. You will not find a content creator who can make this happen. Guarantee it. I would love to be proved wrong. And if I'm proved wrong, I'll tell you, you guys proved me wrong. No harm, no foul. But I'm not jumping on that bandwagon until I have evidence. And without evidence, I'm not just jumping on a bandwagon and I don't know where it's going. And people go, well, we're going west and we're clearly going east. Come on. Seriously? Can you be led so blindly, voluntarily? Why? What's in it for you to do that? I don't get it. Is it so much to ask to say, if you're going to warn me about something, show it to me? All we're doing is talking about it. Nobody is demonstrating it. We might as well talk about Bigfoot. Show me Bigfoot. Show me. Here's a blurry image of something. Okay, that could be anything. Show me a definitive image of Bigfoot. Show me a live video of Bigfoot just walking through the woods. You can't, because it doesn't exist. If you believe in it, that's your choice. But if you can't prove it, it's entertainment. That's all that is entertainment. That's not news. Oh, it's so frustrating. And here's what's going to happen. I'm going to already tell you what's going to happen. Nobody can prove this. Microsoft will probably not be able to identify any issue. They won't be able to replicate it. Phison has done over 4,500 hours of testing. 4,500 hours of testing by basically using a whole bunch of their SSDs for hours. So it added up to a total combined of 4,500 hours. And they cannot replicate this problem. So what's Phison do? Phison says, well, it must be a Microsoft problem. What problem? It's not a problem for anybody. And if you, again, if we just do the easiest due diligence before we report to our audience, if you are responsible for providing an audience news, then understand if it's actually news or if it's gossip. It's okay if you want to talk about gossip. Tell people it's gossip. Don't tell a call to action to recommend people react to it. There's nothing for you to do. And if you do something when you're not experiencing any problems, you're probably going to introduce your own problems that the rest of us are never going to have because we didn't participate in this little game. So ask me how I really feel. If we bring up Copilot, look at how stupid this whole thing is. It's so stupid. I can't believe how many respected creators are also victims of being fooled. So much so that they feel I better warn my audience. This is a whole Chicken Little story. So let me bring up Copilot. Let's do that. And let's just a very modicum, little teeny tiny bit of due diligence here at the laziest way possible. And let's see if that changes anything. So you're not taking my word for it. You're not taking some other content creator's word for it. Let's gather the information online and let's see what it has to say. Is there a Windows update that breaks SSDs? Because believe me, if there is, I want to know about it and I want to be able to replicate it. What's the issue? Solid state drives reportedly, watch the words, became undetectable or corrupted after the update. The problem seemed to occur when users copy large files or installed big games on drives, SSDs that were 80% or more full. Oh boy, we're starting to get into the nitty-gritty here. You've got to be on a Tuesday at 11:57 and 38 seconds installing a big file after an update on an SSD that has a certain controller that's over 80% full. Are you kidding me right now? Even with this information, even if it were real, is this describe your scenario? Some users who were unnamed said a reboot fixed the issue. Oh, well, that's overreact much? All right, what's Microsoft says? Microsoft said it's got to investigate it, but again, they have to. It's like a swatting call. The police have to come out and verify if it's a prank or not. The only way they can know is they have to investigate. So far in their investigation, they have no idea what anybody's talking about. But they're not 100% certain that this isn't all just a big lie. So they are going to look into it further, and it's going to take a lot of time to look for something that doesn't exist. So what can you do? If you're affected, just reboot. You can avoid heavy write operations on nearly full SSDs. Okay, what would somebody be doing on an SSD that would be a file of 50 plus gigabytes in size that needs to be decompressed, or they're copying multiple 50 gig drives aside from piracy and downloading potentially virus infected files that could be causing this problem? Maybe you're installing a game. Are you installing 8 games at the same time? Or is it just one game? because they're talking about multiple large copies. That means you would be installing multiple games simultaneously on a drive that really doesn't even have the room for it to begin with. This is so preposterous and ridiculous. I can't believe people are that easily controlled by false information that is obvious. But okay, whatever. Even if it were true, does this describe the way you use your computer? Do you have an SSD that is 80+% full? Because if you do, all SSDs will basically slow down performance when they're 80 to 90% full, some more drastically than others. So the problem is your drive is too full. And if that creates an issue with corruption on the drive, it's because you've overfilled it. But because the Windows Update just installed, you're going to blame the Windows Update. So that's how that works. This is so ridiculous. Okay, so let's take the opposite, the devil's advocate position, and let's say, is the failing SSD a from Windows Update a hoax? It's not confirmed to be a hoax, but it's not confirmed to not be a hoax either. So a few users on social media on Friday claimed this update caused their SSDs to fail. But nobody provided any evidence. Nobody provided a video. No one provided a demonstration. Microsoft investigated, found no connection. Phison ran 4,500 plus hours of testing, could not reproduce the issue. And the origin seems to stem from one post on Twitter, and that's it. That's it. One guy in Japan on Twitter, I've never heard of before, is making these claims, which may be that they've got an axe to grind with a company, whether that's Phison or Microsoft. And for whatever reason, and I cannot explain this, but people do this all the time, but this one, people grabbed onto and started spreading it. Why? So what's the verdict? Again, we're just going to take this from an unbiased, AI. It's likely a rare setup-specific issue. Like, I don't know, running a utility that you downloaded from one of your favorite content creators 6 months ago that made an improvement to your machine, and now as a result has caused this issue, and it doesn't even occur to you in your mind to associate that those two things are related? Maybe. I mean, it's just as possible as any other theory your imagination can come up with. Only I think mine's a lot more likely. Microsoft and Phison suggest it could be caused by something else entirely, like hardware quirks or third-party software conflicts. So the bottom line is, nobody that we're aware of in the real world that are either an audience member here, a content creator, any of their audience, or anybody we know in real life has ever been affected by this issue. It doesn't exist. So, does it justify making all of these videos warning everybody about this? Or is this nothing more than a scare tactic and clickbait to get you to click on their video? And do you want to participate in that and encourage that? Because if you do, keep clicking on those videos. They keep going to the bank, and you keep getting scared for nothing. And you might even do something drastic like uninstall the Windows Update, which may end up with you now having a problem you would not have had if you would have just not reacted until you could verify the information was true. At this point, there is no verification. And I would strongly encourage you to ask any content creator who's saying that this is real and you should be warned of it, to make a video showing it. And if you find anybody do that, please share that link with us. I'm going to put our email address up on the screen, because until I see evidence, it's not real. As Elon Musk would say, pictures or it didn't happen. I want to see video, because if you can't show me the video, if you can't make that happen, it's not real. I'm not saying they didn't have a problem. I'm saying they don't know why they had a problem, because they don't have a level of education enough to really reverse engineer and resolve the problem. They're Chicken Little. An acorn fell on their head, therefore the sky is falling, because they are uneducated. That's it. It's that simple. And right now, I'm saying the sky isn't falling, because if it is falling, I'm uneducated and you need to teach me. Show me the sky falling. Then I'll believe you. Simple request. If you can't meet that, I'm not believing you. I suggest you hold on to the same rules if you want to have a less panicky, anxiety-ridden life and not be stressed out, and not click on these videos that is generating money for these content creators, encouraging them to keep making more because they work to get the clicks. If that's what you want to do, don't let me get in your way, but when you click on videos like that, all you're doing is encouraging them to make more. It's okay to click on a video because you just want to see what they have to say, especially if they're going to give you a live demonstration. Then yes, click on it. But the minute you see the pattern evolving, and all the content creators will all jump on the bandwagon, and so for the next 30 days, this nonsense is going to keep going on. Now remind me around Thanksgiving to talk about whatever happened with this update, because you all will have forgotten about it. All this thing that's got first thing on your mind by Thanksgiving, by middle of November, most of you will have long since forgotten and never ever got the resolution, because by the time the resolution is posted, there'll be some other thing you've clicked on that's got you wound up that isn't true either. And around the wheel goes. And if you want to be a part of that, you'll do so without me. We don't do that here. You will never get that here. If I'm going to warn you about something, I'm going to show it to you. I don't just talk. That's the whole point of the video, is to make live demonstrations so you can understand what's real from what's fake. When I started this channel, there was a big debate over leaf blowers damaging computers. I've been using leaf blowers for years before I made a video, and I was tired of arguing with people who had no clue what they were talking about. So I just started making videos using leaf blowers over and over and over again, saying, where's the damage? All the people that said it's damaged, nobody's ever been able to prove it on a camera. They can't use a leaf blower on a computer and then turn the computer on in a video and show me the damage. It's not possible because it's not a thing. But they will tell you, I once used a leaf blower and it broke my computer. No, it didn't. No, you did something and you didn't realize you did it that broke your computer. It wasn't the leaf blower. And the difference between them and me is I have shown over and over and over and over and over and over and over, leaf blower, leaf blower, leaf blower, leaf blower, never, ever had a problem. And I actually show you. None of the people who are saying it breaks can demonstrate that. I've seen people who don't understand how electricity works, and they'll spin a fan with an air compressor, and the fan may have RGB that lights up, and they go, well, if that's enough voltage to light up the RGB, that's enough voltage to feed back into the motherboard, which is something somebody who doesn't understand electricity would say. That's like saying cars that have stickers go faster, because if you've ever seen a car win a race, a professional car race, only the winning cars have stickers on them. So therefore, the stickers make the cars go faster. It is such an overly simplistic, childish methodology of association that bears no resemblance to facts. So if you're spinning a fan and the RGB is coming on, that's because the wiring on the fan is very simple. And if you're concluding then that that voltage is going out through the motherboard header, or through the fan power header, that may be true. But there's a thing called a diode. And I'm not going to talk down to you and be condescending. If you don't know what a diode is, look it up. And you'll understand this whole discussion is pointless. The diode won't allow that to go through. Okay.
Emails are flooding in with sending links to Jay's 2 cents and his video saying that he proved that he could create the problem.
Is there a video that Jay's did that shows the problem, or is he just saying he can show the problem?
I didn't watch it, so I don't know.
Okay.
But emails are flooding in from various people with links.
Okay. Very interesting that somebody who's never worked in the computer industry, who only is an enthusiast and calls himself, you know, he'll say, look, what do I know? He says it. Jay says it all the time. I'm just an enthusiast. What do I know? So he's the guy who figured it out? I mean, it'd be great if he did. No disrespect. I'm telling you how he refers to himself. He's not in the industry. He admits he's not in the industry. He admits he's an enthusiast. And all the industry experts can't figure it out, but the enthusiast, okay, it's possible. So if there is a video not claiming, I could show you, I can make it happen, does he actually make it happen, or does he talk about it? Because if he can make it happen, I want to see it.
I didn't watch it, so
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, can you check and let me know before I
Oh, yes.
just skip through it? You'll know.
Yeah.
You'll be doing something. I can make a video saying I can do something, or I can make a video actually doing it. I want to see somebody stop talking and start doing. I got no beef against Jay's 2 cents. Seems like a great guy. But admittedly, he's not in the industry. He is a self-proclaimed enthusiast. So nothing wrong with that. And it doesn't automatically dismiss anything he has to say. Doesn't mean he's always wrong or anything like that. But it means the number of computers he works on are pretty much limited to himself, his friends, and family. He's not dealing with businesses and hundreds of computers where he's held accountable for keeping businesses up and running. So he's not going to get the same number of machines that have problems that I would. So if this were a real problem and every single one of my customer has SSDs, then imagine my phone would be ringing off the hook. I wouldn't have time to make a video today. There's not a single customer in my reality. There's not a single person I know. And there's not a single one of you that has been affected by this. Not a single one of you. It's almost like people want to fight to defend ignorance. It is the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. I will argue with you and I will debate to you because I want this gossip to be true. Well, show me. Show me. If you can't show me, you're just BSing me. It's really simple. That's the difference between a BSer and somebody who's actually providing the evidence against such outrageous and absurd claims. And also, if you take a drive that's 80% full and you start copying large files to it, regardless of Windows updates, there's a pretty good chance you're going to kill that drive just in general. So even if you can recreate the problem, can you also recreate the problem with the update missing? Can you show me the difference? Then if you can, I'll change my stance. But until I see that, it's all a load of hooey. I am not so easily manipulated. No. And if they're holding back evidence, you got to ask yourself why. If you can't demonstrate this, or you won't, it's probably because it's not possible for you to do it. Otherwise, why wouldn't they? So let me take a look here in the chat because I've not been paying attention. Let me get that email off of there. Oh, it is off of there. My feed is delayed over here on this screen. I need to go to my other screen. That's better. All right, let's see what you have to say. Wolf's friend said I dismissed the proof without ever watching the video. I'm not aware of any video that demonstrates the problem. It's not that I dismissed it. I'm not aware of it. I've been looking around. I cannot find anybody who's created it. So I'm asking you, if you show somebody demonstrating this, I'd like to see how their testing was done. Just because they demonstrated it doesn't mean they demonstrated it thoroughly. Like I said, could I do the exact same thing as they did and get the same error? And then can I do the exact same thing as they did with and without the Windows update and see if the error changes? Microsoft hasn't been able to confirm it. Phison, over 4,500 hours of testing, hasn't been able to confirm it. But Jay's 2 cents has confirmed it. I want to see it. I'm very interested and sincere. And until I see it, which obviously I'm not going to be able to do right now live, then I want to see what testing was done and how it was done so I can replicate it here. Because as far as I can tell, Microsoft isn't going to Jay's 2 cents, neither is Phison. No disrespect to Jay's 2 cents. But if somebody that's not in the industry that lacks that education can replicate this, then how come all the experts can't? With way more resources available to them than Jay's has. The whole thing is fishy, and I'm very, very suspicious, but I'm not saying the information's not valid because I haven't seen it yet. I've never seen anybody demonstrate this. And then if and when they demonstrate it, I have to be able to replicate that. If I can't replicate it, it's not real. It's so under certain conditions that have to be just right at the sunset on a Tuesday on the 3rd week of the month. Like, that is so preposterous and ridiculous. But again, I haven't seen it, so I'm not dismissing it. I'm not aware it exists. Ashish says, Jay did not reproduce the issue. He just repeated and showed articles. Yeah, that's what all the content creators do. It's the most simplistic thinking of gossip that I've ever witnessed. Now look, they're not doing anything wrong. If that's the kind of content that they want to make and they want to scare their audience, and if you want to be the audience member that likes to get scared, keep watching their content because they're making money off of you watching. But if you're tired of being manipulated with scare stories and fear mongering without any evidence or proof, and you're seeing that happening from a content creator over and over and over again with this better safe than sorry attitude over complete gossip, that's on you. If you like that sort of thing, I'm not telling you not to watch it. Not at all. I enjoy watching Jay's 2 cents content. However, I don't take it as gospel. It's entertainment. So there's no reason you can't be both educating and entertaining. And they may choose not to for one reason or another. They may choose to assume the worst and then not put a disclaimer that all of this could be all illusionary and made up and unprovable. I wouldn't mind if they put the disclaimer on there, but nobody seems to be putting any disclaimer on it. It's as though it were real. So I can point to a bunch of articles that quote other articles that all go back to this one guy on Twitter. That's it. Nobody, to the best of my knowledge, can prove this. Why don't you prove it? If you're so convinced, if you're somebody that I'm not getting through to, show me. You don't have anybody else do it. You do it. Turn your cell phone camera on, film it, post it on YouTube. It'll cost you nothing. And if you destroy your SSD by doing the test legitimately, I'll buy you a new one. It's worth it to me to be able to verify this problem. But if you're not willing to do it, if all you're going to do is point to somebody else who supposedly did it, then you're part of the problem. You're just spreading gossip, and you're defending ignorance is what you're doing. You're fighting for your ignorance. That is a preposterous stance to take. So if you're so convinced this is real, get an SSD, make it fail on camera, upload that video to YouTube, send me the SSD so I can analyze it. I will buy you a brand new SSD. Is that not reasonable? That's how badly I want to get to the truth. And I'm assuming nobody's going to make that video. I'm assuming nobody is going to have a bad SSD that is created like this, and nobody's going to take me up on that offer because none of you are willing to do the work. You're willing to stand behind it as if it were real, but most of you will not put the work in. I already know that. No, nothing against you guys. You're just not going to do it. That's fine. And if you do go through it, you'll probably realize you're wasting your time. And, you know, I'd be interested either way, to be honest. Give it a shot. Make it happen. If you're successful, I'll buy you 2 new SSDs. That's how I feel about this. Like, I will get you, if you had a couple of 2 terabyte SSDs, they're like $100, $200 a piece, and you're able to make one break through this example on camera, upload it to YouTube so I can watch it. You mail me the failed SSD, I'll mail you 2 back, brand new in a box. I would love to pay that bet. I would love to. But I need to see the failed SSD. I need to have it in front of me to figure out if it's a hardware failure or a software failure. And I got a feeling there aren't any. That anybody who takes me up on this offer will be wasting their time. You will never get your SSD to fail. Prove me wrong. And that's it. Walk the walk. Anybody can say anything, doesn't make it true. If you're not willing to do the work and you're just picking sides, that's just bullying. That's all you're doing. If you're picking sides and you are taking a stance without any evidence or proof, that's bullying. All right, let me scroll up through the chat. Hello, everyone joining us. Good to see everybody hanging out. I'm just now getting to the top of the chat, so bear with me here. I feel very strongly about false information being defended when it's not real and unprovable. It really offends me. Again, I'm still waiting for that $1 million to appear in my checking account. So if you wouldn't mind, keep saying that's true. Because if that actually makes it happen, oh my gosh, I will be indebted to you for the rest of my life. If that's, I mean, here I am working hard trying to earn money, but if all I had to do was just lie to people because I believe it, that's going to put $1 million in my account? I want you to. In that case, please continue to believe nonsense until it becomes reality. And then when that $1 million appears, we know that works. And then I'm completely unjustified for suggesting otherwise. I'd love for you to prove me wrong. I want to check that bank account and see $1 million in it just because we all just were in denial and said, oh yeah, that's absolutely there. Isn't there a guy named Baghdad Bob back in the Iraq War? There's no American military in Iraq. And then as he's speaking, there's like a black Apache helicopter. Does anybody remember this? I mean, there's a certain level to absurdity where how can anybody seriously think this is anything other than gossip? Dennis says Jay actually shows a failure on his system. Well, I will definitely watch that after the stream, and then I will see if I can replicate it. That's key number one. Because again, if nobody at Microsoft can replicate it and nobody at Phison can replicate it, what's Jay's doing differently? And why doesn't Jay's, if he's so intelligent that he can make this happen when the engineers that have degrees in this cannot, why is he not working for them? Is he providing them the information? Is he reaching out to Phison and Microsoft with his testing so that they can replicate the problem? So I don't know. I don't know the answers. I'm sincere. Like, why wouldn't he? So if he actually shows a failure, then we should be able to replicate that here. Or you should be able to replicate it yourself and make a video out of it. That's all I'm asking for. David Graham said, I'm a gamer. I move more than 50 gigs all the time. I have no problem with failures. It's fake news. I should know. Okay.
Found 2 possible timestamps in his video that may be related, so take a look. Whatever you get to.
They're in, you messaged me with those?
I did.
Okay, let's take a look. Oh, okay, I see.
Well, it's going to totally make me a liar and not do it in this run. I will do it until it does it. Oh, it's that thing where it's taking too long again.
He's got an SSD slowdown.
See? We're stuck. Yeah, there it goes. An error reading data. Verify the integrity of the there it goes. It was a slow crash. It wasn't like
I see this happen all the time.
It's like the drives.
That's nothing new. That's not that. It's not like we've never seen that happen before the Windows update. So I'm not saying the Windows update doesn't have to do with that, but that's a pretty common error.
Started like disappearing. So what you'll see now is we'll be right back where we started this video, where the drive won't be there. It'll be go right to BIOS because there's no bootloader because the drive, the controller is offline.
Oh, now that's different.
But that's the first time it ever recovered enough to where Windows was like, hey, there's something wrong with the data. And then it's like when you get unplugged from the Matrix. Yeah. Just when you pull it out without actually dialing your way out. Not like this. Yeah. So the only way to get it back now is to power cycle the PSU. Now, the update is installed. I verified that the update is installed because we did all the update stuff. We talked about this initially. I made sure that like This system over here was good because we tested it on there, although it reinstalled over there too because we didn't pause updates for 5 weeks. Nor did we do what we suggested, which is like, hey, you should probably go in there and disable updates and or even use like arrow tweaker to disable them even further. I'm kind of glad I didn't though, because I wouldn't have discovered this. So here's the thing. Right now, I have to uninstall the update because of the fact that it's clearly blocking me from doing the other video. And
so what he's not identifying here, well, and I don't know, maybe earlier in the video, which game is he playing? Which SSD is he using? How full is the SSD? And are there any other games? If you can only replicate this in games, games are notoriously badly written and unoptimized. Now, the fact that the controller, and what he's shown, the fact that the controller has to be, you have to give up power and go turn power back on. And my question is, playing the same game without the Windows update, does it not crash? And then once again, putting the Windows update back on it, playing the same game, does it crash? And do any other games crash? Everything I've seen reported online doesn't say you have to play a game for this to crash. He's testing this in a way that nobody's claimed has caused a problem. Nobody has said, if you play whatever game he was playing on whatever SSD he was using, after you install this update, that game will crash. Because that would point that that game has some code in it that's bad. But if it's any game, or most games, if it's something we can replicate, I'd be very interested to see that. Because what it looks like he's demonstrated is an overheating problem. That's what it appears to me. When a drive gets too hot, it will do exactly what he showed on his video, regardless of the Windows update. The drive overheats, the system won't reboot until it's shut off. You got to let that heat cool off, and then you turn it back on. That is the exact same symptom. Now, because we know that symptom is related to heat for sure, the question now is that Windows update creating more heat for some reason, or is there error in the code and is the game not optimized properly? Or, in other words, how can I recreate that? I don't have any games here. Is this just something for gamers? And if so, would that justify uninstalling the update? Or would it justify putting in the video, this only affects gamers, if that's even true? Instead of saying everybody should panic and everybody should be worried. So if there are stipulations that the only people who need to be worried are people that move these large files on drives that are 80+% full, that have a certain controller, and if you're playing a certain game, that's critical information that should be volunteered at the time of warning people, so people can identify, does this affect me or not? But the way it's being presented overall is that this affects everybody, and Microsoft can't even make it happen, and Phison can't make it happen. So if we want to go looking for an issue, and we go outside of the requirements that were reported, at no point in the reporting of this problem did anybody mention any games. So I don't know where Jay's got this idea, and I'm not saying he's wrong, but that's not what was reported. So he's replicating the problem, but he's not replicating it the way that the person who described the problem never mentioned that playing games. He never mentioned that. It's not a part of the diagnosis. I pulled up the chat, the Gemini or Copilot. Nowhere does it say it affects games. So just because he found something, he might have found something completely different, and now he's associating it to the Windows update. So I'd be interested in the make and model of that drive, how full it was, what game he's playing, and what were the temps before the Windows update, and what were the temps of that SSD after the Windows update. Did it affect the temperatures of the drive? Or I also want to look at the stats on the game. Did anything about the game, frame rate or playing, was that affected by the Windows update? That seems more likely. However, all of this is on the table right now, but at least there is a demonstration. It's not real clear, and it's not demonstrating what was reported. This is demonstrating something entirely different, but it's getting the same symptoms. So he was able to replicate the symptoms, but in a completely different way. So, you know, I got to look into this some more, but at this point, nobody reported this having to do with gaming. Aside from the file size, this was reported when copying the files, not when playing the games. So why would you test it playing games? If we test it as it was reported, we cannot replicate the problem. He's replicated a similar problem, which may be the same one, or it may be entirely unrelated. It's just bizarre. So kudos to Jay for putting the time in, right? And to make an effort at it, but we're still not any clearer than we were. But I have to watch that whole video, like just skipping through that at a timestamp. He may have relayed the chipset he's using, the drive temperature, drive make and model, and the capacity of the drive, the name of the game, and then how long he played it for that to occur. Then, did he check the drive temperatures and see if the drive temperature got too hot? That is exactly what a hot SSD will do when it exceeds its allowable temperature. Once you get over 70 degrees Celsius, you can expect that on any SSD. Could that be what happened? So, no, I appreciate the links. I appreciate the people who sent them, and I will definitely look into it after the show. And I certainly appreciate Jay making the attempt, but if anything, it just adds more mystery to it. Now, if I can replicate it, if I can get all that information, I can replicate it. And if I can replicate it, at least we can identify all the conditions that have to be met for you to even potentially become a victim of this. But as far as I can tell, there are no conditions in which anybody would ever become a victim of this update. And now we're looking for a reason to justify our gossip. I'm more than happy to do that. And if it does exist, it's got to be under some very specific details that everybody has to, you know, if you align with every detail, then yes, it may, still may not, but it may affect you. So what I'm trying to get at is, why are all these content creators making this content as though this were a real problem affecting the average person, when it may not even exist at all? And if it does exist, it's only under a miring of different things that have to be met all at the same time. And if you're doing all that, you likely would have had the problem anyway, regardless of the update. That's all I'm trying to say. So anyway, food for thought. I just want you to think about it. Nobody here has had this problem. Not a single person that watches our videos has ever had this problem. Not a single customer I have has ever had this problem. This problem only seems to exist in the ether of the internet. So we should all react to it, and we should all uninstall an update for something that doesn't affect any of us and nobody we know. Only the people we know online. It's a weird logic, man. I don't run my business that way. I'm not going to go and uninstall updates on clients' computers based on the conjecture and gossip of the internet. But that's just me. I mean, you can do what you want, but you're just adding to the fuel. You're adding more fuel to this fire that doesn't need to be burning. I don't get it. All right, let me get back over to the chat room here. The killer bee says, Jay's video uses different drives than everyone else said. It's anecdotal at best. I mean, at least he did something, right? Most people reporting it can't be bothered to demonstrate it, because if they did, they likely would never be able to replicate it. And if you think you can, please make a video and show me. Let's stop talking about what other people do. Let's talk about what you're going to do. Are you going to react to information that doesn't apply to you? That if you want to believe it, it's your choice. You can believe in whatever you want. But is it irresponsible to go around telling people your beliefs? and not stating this is not fact. I just want you to know, I just feel this way. It has nothing to do with anybody else. It's just me, and this is how I feel. I just feel like that should be the right way to differentiate what you're expressing to people is a feeling or an opinion. But if you don't say as much, people automatically assume when you're discussing information that it's factual, unless otherwise stated. Let's just be transparent. What's wrong with that? Do you feel like there's shame in it? Then maybe don't discuss it at all if you're not willing to be fully transparent. You're allowed to believe whatever you want. I don't believe in Bigfoot. That's my choice. You may choose to believe in Bigfoot. If you want me to believe in Bigfoot too, you can talk till the sky till the sky falls. You're not going to win me over. I'm never going to agree with you until you can show me Bigfoot. When you can show me Bigfoot, I'll be on your side. And until then, I'm not saying you shouldn't believe it. You're just not going to convince me. I'm not so easily gullible. In the 1980s, as a Gen X kid, as a Gen X adult, we used to tease students and tell them the word gullible wasn't in the dictionary. And they'd say, well, of course it is. No, it isn't. Go look. And then they go look to prove us wrong, and we would laugh and laugh and laugh at how gullible that person was. Which side of that argument do you want to be on? Do you want to be right and argue with somebody who's messing with you just to be the butt of their joke? Because you're not wrong. The word gullible is in the dictionary, and if you go get it and show them, that's exactly how they manipulated you and why they find it so funny that you would believe them. Hence, you're gullible. And that, for a Gen Xer, is hilarious. Because I was raised in that environment, I don't want to be the butt of that joke. And it has required me now to verify that if somebody's sincere or if somebody is simply evangelizing something they believe versus something that is factually true. So until I can verify information, if I'm going to warn people about something I haven't verified, I will include that information. Hey, by the way, I've not been able to verify this. Just so you know, whether or not it's an issue, I don't know. People are saying it's an issue, but that doesn't mean it is one. People also say I'm 4,000 pounds and 10 feet tall, but I'm not. Where do you draw the line at absurdity? If I said I was 10 feet tall and 4,000 pounds, wouldn't you just go, that's absurd, that's just stupid? Well, so's this. It's the same thing. It's exactly equally absurd in my mind and in my opinion. They are not any different until proven otherwise. So when you actually see me in person and I'm 10 feet tall and 4,000 pounds, it's all in your imagination. That'd be a big upgrade for me, by the way. 10 feet tall. I got no problem with that. Luke Greeny says, damn you, Carey, now you're debunking Bigfoot. He's my idol. Well, in all fairness, Luke does live in Vermont, and if there's anywhere Bigfoot would live, it would be probably somewhere around where Luke lives. In fact, I think Luke is actually Bigfoot, and he has disguised himself to fit in amongst us. Let's just keep making stuff up that fits whatever conveniently makes us feel good. Damn with the facts, damn with any evidence, and damn with any due diligence, because that's too much effort than just making stuff up. Peter with a €1 super chat. Thank you, Peter. Dennis says, on a different topic, the WoWEP P6 I purchased while watching your video performs exactly as you represented it on live video. It will make a wonderful control box for remote operation of my radio. Right on, that's awesome. So my goal here in this channel is to be honest, genuine, transparent, This is why I go live and I can't edit out things. I can't contrive the information to the way I want to manipulate you to hear it. It's coming across no differently than the way you talk to people in your life. In real life, this is how we talk. In real time, we don't edit out dinner conversations in a video later. I don't think this is that ingenious of an idea. We're just keeping it real. So when I show you products here, I'm not necessarily recommending those products. I'm simply telling you, here's what it is, here's what it looks like, here's what it sounds like, here's how it performs, here's what you get for the money. I can't tell you if that has any value to you or not. But what I can do is give you reasonable expectations that if you order that, it is exactly as I showed it on camera. Unless the manufacturer has made changes, it should look the same, work the same, everything should be the same. So the likelihood of you having any buyer's remorse or needing to return it should be next to zero. You should get exactly what I showed. If you're expecting something different, I'm not quite sure how that's reasonable. So I appreciate the feedback, Dennis. Freedom of speech is freedom to lie. Okay? If you believe in the freedom of speech, then you also believe in the freedom to lie. And it's up to the listener to discern fact from fiction. Because if you're not going to compel speech to follow certain rules of law, and anybody can say anything and it's all legal, and you're going to stand up and defend that, which is the First Amendment right in the United States of America, then it is also our First Amendment to lie, to make up stuff. It is not illegal to lie to you. It's on you to determine if you're being lied to or choosing to believe what you're told. And if you're doing that based on a feeling, oh boy, if you're leaning one way or the other, it may be very easy to convince you of something not true because you want to believe it. But if you take a moment, if it's something that you are sincerely concerned about, that you might think of warning others, it's not a legal requirement, but the responsible civil thing to do is take a little modicum of verification, use Copilot, use Google, and just look to see what the other side of the story is. When you just hear one side of a story, you've got to ask yourself, what's the other side? It's very rare stories only have one side. It's very rare. It's possible, but how would you know that there was another side if you never looked? And it wasn't volunteered to you. You have to actually make the effort to look for it. And if you make the tiniest of effort, you're going to find nearly everything you hear has another side. If all you're doing is looking at the front of a coin, you may not be aware that there's a completely different design on the back of the coin. Every front has a back, without exception. Do the front and the back match? Sometimes, but not very often. How would you know if you didn't look? You just decided they must be the same because I haven't looked. Okay. I must have $1 million in my account because it's been a few minutes since I looked. Nothing illegal about it. Welcome to freedom of speech. And he says, I'm glad I don't have a dog in this fight. Nobody has a dog in this fight. That's my point. They're throwing imaginary dogs into an imaginary fight, and then they're taking sides over nothing that affects them. They don't even own a dog, but they're choosing to be a part of it. It's very strange behavior. And content creators are profiting from that. You're encouraging that. You want to see more videos like that. Every time you keep clicking on it, and every time you keep spreading the information and sharing the links, you are voting to get more information like that in the future, because that's what's going to result in more views and more success on the content creator. And damn be the facts, because that just makes me feel good. So if you want to make a channel to help people feel good, nothing wrong with that. And if you want to lie to people to make people feel good, nothing wrong with that either. Just tell them. Just be honest. That's so hard. I'm going to lie to you right now because I want you to feel good, okay? If those of you don't need to be felt better by, don't need to feel better by being lied to, then this video isn't for you. What's wrong with that disclosure? But it is not required by law. It is your responsibility as the viewer to discern what's valuable from what's trash. And you should, from what I'm seeing on the internet, people need to be more discerning. I think they'd believe just about anything at this point, including the content creators, sadly. But it doesn't, it's not an insult to the content creators, it's an attitude. I don't agree with the attitude, right? They're allowed to have whatever attitude they have. If their attitude is better safe than sorry, I don't subscribe to the panic of unnecessary actions to something that's never going to happen under the guise that it's better safe than sorry, because that can often cause consequences that those content creators would not be held legally accountable to, but you as a viewer may be suffering with results. So I just can't get on board with the better safe than sorry attitude. That doesn't mean they're wrong. It doesn't mean they're bad people. I just don't agree with that perspective. If they're allowed to have that perspective, then I'm allowed to have mine too. Fair's fair. Just looking here in the chat to see if there's any other comments or if anybody's got any evidence to this. I'm still looking. Trend Leader says, how many SSDs have I seen fail in my entire career? I think 3. 2 2.5-inch SATA and 1 NVMe. And there may be another NVMe that's failed that's not in the shop here. I'm trying to get it from the customer. It was something I was trying to fix remotely, and it's acting very strange, and I'm not sure why, but that client went on vacation for like a month. When I can get back together with that client, I can't wait to put that computer on the bench and demonstrate the actual problem instead of talk about it. And then we'll diagnose it and figure out what's going on, because it may have nothing to do with the SSD. This is an NVMe SSD that's fairly new, and it's exhibiting a behavior I've never seen before. I think it's the SSD, but it could be something like a screw grounding out or bad power supply. Until I get it, until I show you, at this point I've only verified 3 failed drives since I started installing them in 2013.
Yeah.
Oh, and I've got emails. Thank you, Mara. All right. Let's check the old email here. Oh, our friend Charlie Purdy sends an Amazon gift card. Oh, very generous Amazon gift card. Thank you, Charlie. I can use that to buy somebody a new SSD that proves me wrong. Would you be okay with that, Charlie? I don't think that money's going to be buying anybody an SSD. I would love to be proved wrong. Our friend Buster, as always, with a super chat in the form of an Amazon gift card. And Buster said he's not feeling too well last night. Had a long night. I hope it's from partying and eating too much cake. It was Buster's birthday yesterday. We hope you're feeling better, Buster. And he says he'll watch the video later. He just needs to get his rest. So all well and good, and we thank you so much, all of you, for supporting us here and giving me this platform to challenge what I feel like nobody is thinking of challenging, and I don't understand why. Again, being raised as a teenager in the 1980s, there's a lot of bullying, a lot of manipulation, and that example of gullible's not in the dictionary is one of many things that kids did to each other back then that involved essentially manipulation and the humor that the bullies got by controlling somebody else. And me personally, when I realized what was happening, it really bothered me. And I said, I'm not going to voluntarily participate in this anymore. So this is very strong with me because of what I went through growing up. And I'm not exactly a quick learner. So this wasn't something I realized was happening until it had been well established. And it's like everybody else knew it but me. Everybody was in on the joke and I was the joke. And I don't want to be the joke anymore. So now I need more evidence before I'm going to get behind anything. And I need to be able to prove it. I need to be able to demonstrate it. If I can't demonstrate it, it would be irresponsible. I'd be no better than the bullies. Why would I want that, knowing what they did to me? I'm not going to be a bully. So just because I'm calling people out doesn't make me a bully. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just asking for evidence. If you can't provide the evidence, then I have no interest in what you say is being taken seriously. It's that easy. It's that easy. And I would provide evidence, and I expect no less of anybody else. I don't think it's an unreasonable request. If you're going to make these kind of outrageous accusations, you should have a foundation upon which to act on that is stable and repeatable and verifiable. And if you don't have that, I feel it's very irresponsible to shout, fire in a crowded theater. It can cause a lot of harm when you think it's funny. And you, as a theater goer, don't have to react the way everybody else around you is. You can take a moment and assess your scenario to determine if you want to be a part of that herd, or if you wish to go your own path of critical thinking and establishing if this is really a justifiable action, or if you're going to have herd mentality. There's nothing wrong with either way. I don't want to be a part of the herd mentality. I find it simple and something that people I don't respect do. But my respect may mean nothing to you. And how you choose to react to things is entirely your choice. This is how I choose. And I'm explaining why. That's all. I'm not convincing you to think like I do, but I am encouraging you to understand my perspective in that it makes logical sense. And if you like logical sense, you'll say, I get that. You don't have to agree with it. I just want you to understand it. And then what you do with that information is entirely up to you. Peter said, I want to test it sometime with the leaf blower, and I'll post online if anything goes wrong, which I've never seen before. I always use the leaf blower with PCs. I learned from Uncle Carey. I'm using leaf blowers, clearing out dust in the desert here. Never, ever had anything other than a cleaner and better PC. And I'm not aware of anybody that has ever damaged a PC with an air blower or a leaf blower, but they say they did. Okay, and I'm 10 feet tall and I'm 4,000 pounds. In the meantime, I have actual video evidence of it not breaking. So who do you want to believe? The person who just says it or the person who shows it? That's what I love about YouTube. And that's why I created the channel, is that people like to argue online. But how can you argue with evidence that you can easily recreate? If you can't be bothered to recreate it and you still want to dismiss it, it's not an argument. Denial is not an argument. You're welcome to deny all you want. And if you want to give me evidence to justify your denial, you don't have to. Too much trouble. It's easier to deny. Then you have nothing of value for me to listen to. So I just block you, because if that's your attitude, you're not adding any value to my life. So you have nothing useful to add to the conversation. I'm not a therapist. So why are we talking, right? You can talk to somebody else. I'm not the therapist. But when somebody offers, useful information, I love that so much. And then when somebody provides more useful information, that's where I start following them, right? Like following them online, not stalking. I wouldn't put stalking past me, because that's a person I would go to over and over again if they've been proven time and time again to have information that is accurate that I did not have. I want to listen more from them. You understand? Now I know who they are. I have a history with them. Now, if they turn around and ruin all that by now dressing up a story, making it bigger than it really is, they've caused a lot of damage in our relationship of trust. And now I'm going to follow them a little bit less. I'm going to be a little more skeptical, whereas before I was accepting everything they were saying because they were very useful. But the minute they soil that, the minute they dilute it with gossip, now I can't be sure anymore with the confidence I once had. They have shattered my confidence now. And it'll take some time to rebuild that. If they don't do it anymore, eventually the trust will come back. NWO says it's pretty obvious the update is borked. Yes, if you choose to believe everything you read online, but NWO style, make a video, take out your phone, I know you have a phone, show me this update is borked. Otherwise, you're just barking like a dog at a fence. You're not saying anything. If you can't prove it to me, then you're full of it. You're just lying. So if you truly believe and you want me to believe what you're saying, then if it's so obviously borked, it should be no big deal for you to make a video, show me the update borking, send me a link to the video to our email address, and educate me, show me. Anybody can go in the chat room and say I'm 10 feet tall and 4,000 pounds and it's obvious. You can use all the words you want. It doesn't change reality. It doesn't change it. So if you're not willing to put your money where your mouth is and actually demonstrate it, you're just being part of the problem. And this is the kind of thing I'm warning people about. People who will do that. They'll use strong words. Carey is really and obviously 10 feet tall. That doesn't change it because you changed the phrasing or that you came across very, very certain. Show me. If you're not willing to show me, you're full of it. That's it. There's not a word you can tell me in the chat room that replaces demonstration. So don't waste your time. You're just wasting my time. I'm never going to believe you, and I think that you're a troll. And until you prove otherwise, you're a troll to me. Does that mean you're a troll because I said it? Prove me wrong. Leonard in the chat says, I am fully updated. I'm running a Kingston Fury Renegade 2 terabyte PCIe Gen 4, which has a Phison controller. And so far, I haven't had any issues. That's what I'm saying. Nobody has had any issues. Am I saying Jay is lying? No, I think Jay's a great guy. And I don't think that his attempt at demonstrating the failure is lying. But I believe it's misunderstood. I believe that he has a fundamental, potentially, let me say potentially, that there is a fundamental misunderstanding of relating two things that are potentially not related. Jay's has recreated a problem that nobody reported. Nobody reported, while playing the game will crash. That's not what was reported. So for Jay to do what wasn't reported to demonstrate the same symptom isn't the same thing. Now, it's possible they're related, but it's equally possible that it's not related. So that doesn't mean Jay is lying, not at all. And kudos to Jay for actually doing what no other content creator has done in attempting to replicate the symptom. My debate is, did he replicate the symptom the way it was reported? And he did not. But are they still related? Maybe. But there's a lot of other reasons. What Jay showed, that's a pretty common error. That's not like something new. We have seen SSDs get full and crash. We've seen SSDs overheat and crash, showing exactly what he showed. So isn't it possible, I'm just saying, isn't it possible that there's another cause for the problem that Jay experienced that is unrelated to a similar symptom being accused of by one person? One person on Twitter started all this. Can anybody give me that person's name? And no video evidence at all of the problem as described. Jay did not replicate the problem as described, but he replicated a similar symptom. It is possible they're related, but it is equally possible what Jay experienced is unrelated, or it's related in a different way. So let's say, for example, let me give you a good example of this. If Jay's playing the game and the game doesn't crash, and then Jay puts the update on, plays the game for the same amount of time, and the game crashes, Was the SSD temperature running hotter after the Windows update? That's a different problem. That's not what we're talking about. However, if it's still related to the Windows update for a different reason, I would love to know that. If this is a similar symptom caused by the same problem that he's executing in a way nobody has reported, I'd like to know that too. But at this point, having an SSD crash during gameplay in the way that he demonstrated it's nothing new. And again, it's usually related to heat. If it was a heat issue, was it a heat issue that only occurred after the update? In which case, the update can have an issue with certain drives getting hotter, but that's not what we're talking about. But should we explore that? At what point do you accept truth? At what point can you replicate what Jay demonstrated? Can you do exactly what Jay did and get Jay's results? And if you can, would you? Like, if you feel strongly that what Jay said was true, would you be willing to make a video and do what Jay did and get the same results Jay got? And then post that video and share a link with me? Because if you're not willing to do it, that's all I need to know about what you have to say. Because now you're talking about your feelings. I feel like, I like Jay, so therefore everything he says is gospel. I like Jay too, but I don't like him that much. Like, I don't think there's anybody I like that much. But kudos to Jay for doing the work, man. I got nothing but respect for the guy. No, he's not lying. But there's not a definitive, well, if what Jay did could be replicated by you and I, then what's stopping you from doing it? If you're so convinced that that's real, that is, not that it's real, but that it's common, that any of us could easily be affected by it, justifying not installing this update, then show me. Show me what Jay did is reproducible. I want you to reproduce it, and if you're not willing to reproduce it, show me somebody else besides Jay. One person did one thing one time, and yet you're choosing to believe. It's a choice without any verification. So if whatever Jay did is universal, then any of us can do that, right? Any of us can make that happen. I'm not aware of anybody else who can make that happen. And so if it's that hard to reproduce the error, is it worth uninstalling an update and creating all these videos and warning people of something that would never have impacted them to begin with? And if you try to make it happen, you likely cannot. Even if you try, you cannot make this happen. And if you can, make a video and show me just how easy it is for me to do it too. I will go through your exact same steps. I'll use the exact same parts. I'll put on the exact same software, and I should get the exact same results. But I can't, nor can you. It can't be done. Until you prove me wrong, it cannot be done. That's all I'm saying. Can't argue with evidence. One person showing one thing that has the same symptom in a different way than it's reported is not the entirety of evidence. It's some, but it may be evidence to something entirely different. It's still evidence. What other evidence do we have in video format that shows a demonstration? Anything else? But again, if you just feel that way, you can feel however you want. I don't care. That has nothing to do with reality. You could feel uncomfortable for all I know. Carey, this conversation's making me uncomfortable. Well, that sounds like a you issue, right? That's not my responsibility. I can't control how you feel. All right, let's see. Go through the chat. Nick Caffrey with a €5 super chat. I've never been here on a Saturday. Glad I did. It's something different. I wasn't planning on making a video today, but I keep seeing more and more content creators jumping on this bandwagon. And I think they're probably doing it with this better safe than sorry attitude, but I don't hear the disclaimers on any of them saying, look, this likely doesn't affect you and you shouldn't worry about it. But we're going to talk about it, because if we don't talk about it, you might wonder, why are we avoiding the subject? So we'll talk about it, but we want you to know that this likely is a non-issue for the vast majority of people. We don't recommend you uninstall any Windows updates unless you have a reason to, and that anything else would be fear-mongering that we don't want to participate in, and this video is not intended to fear-monger. It's not intended to cause any panic. We're just going to address it. And then we're going to address the likelihood of what is the likelihood that this would impact a Windows user. And if there's a billion, I don't know, if there's hundreds of millions of Windows users, how many could potentially be impacted by this at most? And then provide the information, right? We can guesstimate that under all of the certain circumstances, a very minor number of actual users would likely ever see this in their lifetime. And again, if you look at any Windows update that ever came out, there's always somebody claiming it caused them a problem. Always, without exception. And if you look at any Windows update that ever came out, you will likely never find anybody saying it's a great Windows update and I'm glad I installed it. Explain that phenomenon to me, please. And for whatever reason, most of those people complaining about Windows updates causing problems, it's not that it didn't cause them a problem, they're not lying. It's just they had a unique configuration or the manipulation of their system in a way that's different from everybody else. And that's why their results were different from everybody else, and that's why it never got picked up and carried through the wind like this story has. And I don't know why this one is no different than all the other ones that came before it. But for whatever reason, it picked up steam without any evidence, no differently than any of the other complaints that come out in every single Windows update ever since Windows was releasing updates, ever since Microsoft released updates, ever since there's been Reddit and the internet and news groups. There's been somebody making that claim completely out of conjecture. Well, that mechanic was the last one to touch my car. My car started before he tightened the lug nuts and put air in my tires. So clearly it's the mechanic's fault. This is the logic that you're going to get behind. If I'm not there, start without me. The Killer B77 with $9.99 in Super Chat says, thank you for all you do for us. Well, just trying to get the honest information out there as best we know it today. And if that information changes, as soon as I know, I will once again make a video, if for no other reason, to put any clarification or verification in. And if we can replicate this problem, I will do so. I know, I have a very strong feeling, based on the fact that nobody else can do it, that it is an entirely waste of time. But if you don't think it's a waste of time, then please do it. The only reason anybody who claims it's real but won't volunteer to show it is because they likely know it's a waste of time. So they're saying one thing and then they're doing the exact opposite. So anybody in the chat who has any sides on this, if you're not willing to actually put the work in and show it, then you know you're not going to, because it's a waste of time. It doesn't actually happen. And if you do put the work in and you find out that you can replicate this, you will be doing the entire community and world a service that neither Microsoft and all of their resources and Phison and all of their resources cannot replicate. Imagine your contribution to society aside from sitting there making noise, but actually doing something. I would love for anybody to do that. I would love it. Please. If you kill your SSD, I'll replace it with 2 SSDs, so long as you mail me the bad one in a live video demonstration that kills it, so I can see what went wrong with it. That's valuable information.
I assume it's just me, but my chat between both profiles is broke.
Chat's not working?
Chat is not working for me. I can't send any messages. I don't see anybody chatting, do anything in chat. Both profiles.
Let me try something here. My message went out. And let's see if it appears. So my video playback has fallen behind, so let me.
Yeah.
So the message I just typed is not appearing here. Let's take a look over here. So it's still broadcasting. We're still communicating.
Oh yeah, I can still see it.
I love YouTube.
Great conversation.
I love YouTube. They do some weird things. They had monetization not working the other day. They had our video search wasn't working. That's been resolved.
Yeah.
They keep breaking things. I'm not sure.
Well, it started today with I'd sent a couple messages and they both came back with an error. So I thought it was just my tab. So I closed
I'm not
the
getting
tab.
an error like it's going out.
Right.
Oh, wait. No. It does say error.
Oh, it does. So
It didn't show up right away.
Yeah.
It says error, try again.
Yeah. That's exactly what I started getting.
Oh, let's see.
That is busted. Busted. Thank you, YouTube.
You know what? I wonder. Hold on a second. When YouTube has these problems, usually the way I find out about it is on Twitter, unless it's just me.
Yeah, that's why I came down here.
No, I appreciate it. I haven't noticed the chat wasn't moving, and I haven't tried to chat. So let's take a look. Let me just see if YouTube is reporting any issues. Nothing so far, but let me check one more place. No. So if it just happened and maybe YouTube isn't aware of it yet, and I don't know if this is affecting other live channels or just us. So again, without evidence, we can have all the conjecture and gossip over what the cause of this might be, whether it's intentional or a mistake, we don't know. And until we get the information, I wouldn't even attempt to provide you guys false information of what could be. I know what it is. I don't know why. But after the show, we can dig in. And if there are other channels where YouTube live chat went down, we're going to hear about it. But if it just happened, it's going to take a little while for that information to disseminate. If YouTube did this on purpose, specifically to us, we don't know that either. We don't have any notifications from YouTube about any policy issues. So I have to assume that there's nothing we've done wrong. I can't imagine there would be any justifiable reason for us to have a chat room shut down. However, it is apparently not working, and we just don't know why. So we can speculate on the negative side. Oh, they're hunting us. They're singling us out. It's discrimination and harassment. We can go on the benefit of doubt and say, well, it's probably a system error. YouTube has system errors all the time. Or it could be something we hadn't considered. But I would prefer to assume it's likely just a system issue and not likely to do with us. But I will be able to confirm that in time. Just like running the test on this whole thing, it'll take time. And most people don't want to spend the time. They just want to go on their feelings. And if there's somebody you don't like and somebody tells you a lie about them, you want to believe that lie because you don't like that person. So you're going to be biased, leaning one direction to what you want to hear. And you don't want to know the truth because you want to believe the lie because it fits your agenda. As human beings, we all do this. There's a company we don't like, there's a person we don't like, we hear a rumor about them and we instantly believe it's true because we want to. I just need to see evidence, that's all. It should be pretty basic from anybody reporting any news that has an audience. It should be just simple courtesy that if the information you have is not verified, you should state as much. That's all I'm saying. And you as a viewer should be aware of when that's not being said. Let me refresh here and see if this makes any difference. So I'm sending another message. And when I send it, it takes about 5 to 10 seconds, and then it says error, try again. So likely trying to fix this while we're live is, I'm not probably going to be successful, but let me just, again, make the smallest of effort. And that would be to simply open a tab and say, Is YouTube live chat down? YouTube outages reported in the last 24 hours. Oh boy. 50% video streaming errors. That may not be related to us though. Yeah, it looks like it's a technical problem. However, I don't know. So I assume if it's intentional, that there's some violation they think took place and shut it down. They didn't shut the video down. That seems unlikely. We do have some trolls, and they often attack YouTube, and they send email floods and DDoS attacks onto the platform. And we've had discussions with YouTube about identifying those and that we're not paying for that service. YouTube's like, why are you doing this to us? I'm like, I'm not doing it. It's not me. It has nothing to do with me. And so YouTube's like, okay, we'll look more into it. But I don't think it's that either, because I think they've shut all that down anyway. But that is weird. I don't recall ever seeing that happen before. So what I'm going to do, just for the sake of testing, is we'll stop this video, create another live stream, and then that should re-enable chat again. So stand by. Well, actually, what you're going to want to do is you will you're going to get a notification that a new video has been started, and this chat isn't going to work anymore. This video is going to end, and then another video is going to start, and we're going to pick up where we left off, and that should re-enable the chat. All right, so it's going to be a whole nother video. You won't have to just, what I'm telling you is if you just wait, it won't happen automatically. You'll need to go back, click on my channel name, go back to my live stream, and you're going to see a new stream so we can continue this. I was just getting ready to wrap it up anyway, but I did want to give your side of things, and I can't see anything now that's come in, which means you guys can't communicate with me. And if you can't communicate with me, there's no point in doing a live video. So we're going to end this one, start the next one, and see if the problem still exists. If the problem still exists, it's likely a YouTube technical error that we have to wait out. All right, so hopefully I'll see you on the following stream that I'm about to start in about 2 minutes. Stand by. Well, don't stand by. Look for the new content. A refresh ain't going to do it.